I'm really that guy. Yeah, bitch, I'm outside. LaFerrari popping on a 40 with the 5. 1 ticket, 2 ticket, 3 ticket, 4 million. Put that little Maybach truck in the garage. Little bunny hop out. You see me at the pop out. Pandemonium screaming like they brought Pac out. Stop it with the chit chat. We airing out the kickback. Big stud energy the way I get my lick back. Hey now, say now, I'm all about them bands. Shit I'm on, but you wouldn't understand it. I'm the suspect, baby, I don't play victim. I bought a nigga building just to evict him. What that Coachella paid like it was 8 figures. Why I don't fuck with them guys, cause I hate niggas. Oh my God, I'm really that guy. I got my Chuck Taylors on, but they look like loafers. I ain't sitting with you niggas, fuck, I look like Oprah. Rather put them in the ground, you niggas look like gophers. Open doors for my niggas, bitch, I look like chauffeur. With the ruler, keep it sewer. Stack the Gouda, mind your business, eat the cooter. Oh my God, I'm really that.
Man, turn this shit the fuck up. I was up at Westchester, dodging all the high beams. Gardena swap me, shopping bogus ice cream. I'm a hot dorm, baby, shit is not warm, baby. 4 or 5 main bitches, I am not yours, baby. All these women is a habit. Boyfriends mad cause they thought I was a hey now, say now, get sticky like a hun bun. You will never be the floor got me fitted in my vest. If you got a problem with me, nigga, get it off your chest, nigga. What? Get it off your chest. Get it off your chest. I am not a tough guy, nigga. Get it off your chest. I'm the type to bust on her and just lick it off her breast, nigga. I'm a freak. I don't beef. It's a bird, it's a plain bitch's teeth. Cut niggas off, want the rope? I come get it. You don't love me, you love the optics that come with it. Bitch. Chromacopia, nah. Worry about tomorrow.
All my life been a black sheep. All my life been a black keys. True, I never really was a bad breed. My daddy probably rather me an athlete. True that. Man, a nigga move like a taxi. All my life in the backseat. You talk about life, is it that sweet? All these eyes staring at me. I've been feeling real low, nigga, low key. How a brave heart feeling so weak. Tattoos on my passport, no sleep. This is what you asked for, don't we? Don't whinge, man, I'm here, won't leave. All I wanna do is make songs, blow trees. Wouldn't be honest with myself if I don't speak. So I make the point to address it, man, you know me. Got me believing in Buddha, the more I proceed. Oh, this life ain't guaranteed. All my life felt a cold breeze, in and out, but staying up and never down. You're hearing me now, give me some time and a little space, I'll figure it out. They wanna know my whereabouts and who I'm around. Been in one and for time, trying to find a way out. You can hear it in my rhymes, I'll be thinking I'ma be ghost for a minute. Don't get in your feelings, I ain't even wrote for a minute. Not a single lyric, man, I got a life that is crazy. Most cannot live it, see him trying to sabotage. Got me fucking living all my life, been a black sheep. All my life, been a black keys. True, I never really was a bad breed. My daddy probably rather me an athlete. Man, a nigga move like a taxi. All my life in the backseat. You talk about life, is it that sweet? All these eyes staring at me. And I miscalled everyone. What? All I hear them saying is, look what you become. What? This is what you signed up for. Did you forget? This is what you get. This is what you get. All these eyes in the front row. Hella pure souls in the front row. Remember seeing J. Cole, I was in the front row. Couldn't move, was an ought if you must know. Still struggling to find who I trust though. All my life in a cut though. All my life caught the bus home through the north side. Got a pedal bike, mommy flipped when I got home. Like people get killed out here, but mommy I'm a rider and a fighter. Never been a dickhead in life, don't ever try me. Don't get it confused cause I'm humble and I'm quiet. Loud niggas step into Sims and get silenced. I ain't gotta say how when it don't involve violence. Though I got G's that are ready and they're here for it, but there's no need. I just want peace, take me higher. Get an 8 from the supplier. Make your mind up what you need, what you desire. Niggas hating but it's cool man, it's a minor. I just do me in my own lane, I'm the driver. 23 feeling older, wiser. All my life is such what I die for. Guess I am the one people I'ma fight for. Surely you should know who you rep, know who you ride for. All my life been a black sheep. All my life been a black keys. True, I never really was a bad breed. My daddy probably rather me an athlete. Man, a nigga move like a taxi. All my life in the backseat. You talk about life, is it that sweet? All these eyes staring at me. Hey, phone rings and I miscalled everyone. What? All I hear them saying is, look what you become. What? This is what you signed up for. Did you forget? This is what you get. This is what you get. Hey. this is what you signed up for. Did you forget? Hey, this is what you get. Hey, this is what you get.
I can't smell the flowers, felt empty now for hours, lost my power. I can't smell the flowers, I'm sick of all these times.
Oh shit. We are back. Damn. 486 people. Let's go. Let's go. My goal was to hit 450. And we did it. And we fucking did it. We're at 486. That means I think after this stream, we become partner of Twitch, which is cool. Cool, right? Right? We did affiliate pretty fast. Now we hit partner pretty fast. And we're moving. We're moving. Now we just gotta get subs. Now we gotta work on the subs, bro. We need a lot of subs. Over the next week, day, whatever, we need them fucking subs. So, alright, so plans. Alright, so NFT NYC's next week. A lot of fucking events. It's a lot. Too many. Way too many. I don't even know how I'm gonna do half of them. Honestly, I really don't. Yeah, I really don't. But I'm gonna try to do IRL with most of them. The ones I definitely could bring a camera in, I will. I will have someone else with me with the camera, so yeah, that will all be going. You guys can see probably me talking about the, Harmony platform, Sofa West, getting those to sign up, all that good stuff happening in real time. Me showcasing the product to people and just giving them quick demos on how to sign up and how they can be a part of it and why it's even important in the first place. So there's gonna be a lot of that, and also showcasing some other projects that are out there. There's a lot of crypto projects since Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrency projects and other cryptocurrencies in general are just going skyrocket, right? So I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people with some good projects out there. Agent Switch is also another one with a great project with DC. So you guys check that out. DMCA, DMAC. Well, I'm butchering this, bro. My bad. DMCAI coin. That is what you should go check out. That project is pretty dope. It is something I'm working on with him as well from the music and AI point of view. So his model is built by us at Self Labs. But yeah, cool shit, cool shit. He does also have another app out there that you can use and generate your own songs and stuff there live right now that has nothing to do with Self Labs. So check that out. It's pretty cool. So anyway, last stream we were going over the weird shit with the aliens, bro, and it was getting interesting. I don't know if you guys remember. Some of you guys may be back again. Some of you guys may be new. Don't know. But last stream was getting pretty fucking weird. The guys were pretty much green goblins. That's what we left off at, right? We finally figured out, okay, these aliens that are going around this area and doing things on this private island or this island that's pretty secluded from the rest of the world, we're doing some weird shit. They called them quote unquote face peelers. Don't really know what the fuck that is, but we're gonna find out. We're gonna get more weird. We're gonna finish that whole podcast. We do have, I think, like an hour left of that shit, so we're gonna check it out, see what's good. Damn, we had 618. Let's go. That's a lot of fucking people. Let's go. I think that's a record for us. We have not hit anything more than 500 yet, so 618 is dope. It's really fucking dope. Glad to see that. How do I see that? How do I know? Because it's right here on the bottom of the screen, so that's pretty dope. YouTube, it's fucking slacking. I guess I gotta get some shit going on YouTube. I guess I gotta, get some followers on there, but I'll do that. I'll work on that. In the meantime, I want to go back to that fucking podcast because it was dope, bro. You guys gotta see what this guy's talking about. It is weird. We're gonna be so if you're new, we're gonna be starting from like 2 hours in, but I'm telling you, it's already interesting. If you want to start from the beginning, catch up later, do that because it's good. If you know anything from Sean Ryan, Sean Ryan has some good guests on his podcast and always some good topics. This one particularly is pretty dope, so go check it out. But again, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to turn the transition. We're going to go into that. Let me fix this browser real quick because it was not pulling up the shit that I wanted to pull up before. I think now we're good. Kinda. No, we're not good. So what we're going to do Because we're gonna switch this. Oh, now we're good. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So let's go to history. Let's throw that shit back on. Bro, this shit's dope. This shit is fucking dope. I'm excited to go through this again because we didn't finish it, but I'm ready to hear about these fucking green goblins flying through the sky and doing some crazy shit. And I can't find it. Hold on, let me just search that shit. Sean Ryan. We also got to get you guys talking in the chat, bro. You guys be watching me, and that's all cool. But no chatty. No chat is a little weird. So, a little fucking weird, not gonna lie. A lot of people watching, no words. But it's all good, you know. I love you guys. But, you know, you guys can talk too. You don't got to be mute.
There was a lot of people thinking they were seeing a drone, and they weren't. They were seeing an airplane or a helicopter. But there was a lot of people who were legitimately seeing these things. And it has the same sort of mystique as the face peeler stuff, and very, very bizarre.
Yeah, no kidding.
Could I take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break. I would do anything to protect my family, but there's always that one worry in the back of my head. If I have to use my firearm in self-defense, who's got my back? The truth is, the justice system isn't always just. I've uncovered story after story of corruption. Good Americans who did the right thing, defended their families, and yet still had their lives turned upside down. And that's why I joined USCCA, the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. They've helped thousands of responsible gun owners with legal preparedness, training, and support before and after a self-defense incident. If you've watched my channel long enough, you know I've always said preparedness is more than just training and gear. It's a mindset. And because crime is on the rise in America, which we can all see, you'll need more than just a gun to protect yourself. You'll need a plan. Go to uscca.com/SRS right now to learn more. That's uscca.com/SRS and see how a membership can give you and your family that peace of mind you've been looking for before, during, and after a self-defense situation. Once again, that's uscca.com/SRS. Do it. Want more from the Sean Ryan Show? Join our Patreon today for more clips and exclusive content. You'll get an exclusive look behind the scenes where you can watch the guests interact with the team and explore the studio before every episode. Plus, unlock bonus content like our extra intel segments where we ask our guests additional questions, our new SRS on-site specials, and access to an entire tactical training library you will not find anywhere else. And the best part? Patreon members can ask our...
I'm gonna skip it. Even though shit's dope. That last commercial's pretty dope. It's good to know. I'm probably gonna join that shit low-key. Just saying. I'm trying to find how to... There you go. That's
story. All right, Tim, we're back from the break. Had a nice lunch there, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why that happened. And, I mean, it kind of... When you were talking about it, it reminded me of this conversation I had with this guy, Michael Herrera, who had an encounter. It's been years since I chatted with him, but it was basically some type of a human trafficking thing, it sounded like. This is a long time ago. And, but I don't think this is human trafficking.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is reminiscent of Herrera's testimony. And if I recall, Herrera was deployed to, I think it was Indonesia, after a natural disaster, and they were doing like rescue ops. And he was with the platoon. I think it was Marines. I could be getting this wrong. And they stumbled upon a craft, a large disc hovering out there in the jungle in a clearing. And they learned, without going into all the details, which I'm foggy on as well, they were confronted with human beings dressed in fatigues. So obviously this was some kind of, this technology was being operated by human beings. and he seems to think it had something to do with human trafficking. And that's interesting to me because if you're in the business of human trafficking, what better opportunity do you have than to go in after a natural disaster when thousands of people are already missing? I mean, that would seem to be the appropriate moment to go in and harvest human beings. So this phenomenon in Peru, the face peeler phenomenon, there's echoes of Herrera's testimony here. It seems to me that there's a nefarious, maybe transnational faction that is in possession of advanced technology, perhaps derived from non-human technology. And whatever they're doing, it's obviously terrorizing and it's nefarious. So, but what exactly are they doing? Why are they terrorizing these villagers? Why are they cutting their faces off? Are they harvesting something from the glands? Do they want to terrorize the people first before they harvest whatever
See,
they're
I
looking
just
for?
don't understand that. If they wanted to harvest something, if they wanted to traffic, I mean, they're horrible kidnappers. They've got amazing tech, but they're obviously really bad at kidnapping.
Yeah, San Antonio Pinto Yaku is a two-day trip up the river, and like I said, it's the last vestige of civilization before a vast tract of uninhabited rainforest, and so it is exceedingly remote.
But they have communications, and there's other villages.
Yes, and they
have no communication, so
That's
they
right.
couldn't even get out.
That's right.
So I don't even know why they would target that.
That's a good point. Yeah, but remember they were running the same operation in Nauta, and 35,000 inhabitants, military installation, police force, helicopters. That's not a soft target.
Yeah, no, not at all. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't think it was a lateral multinational mission.
Yeah.
Not with, especially with those countries. I mean, they're just so far behind.
No, I don't think those other countries. I don't personally think that the U.S. government had anything to do with this. But is it possible that there was an op running? That op was running cover, the Resolute Sentinel op was cover for like I described earlier, like a predator type operation where you got commandos going into the jungle trying to.
These things happen all the time, even at the low level that I was at. In the SEAL teams, just for example, we set up a medical site that was technically a legitimate medical site, but the whole premise was to lure Taliban in so that we could kill them. Mm-hmm. And because we advertised it and got put out like, hey, if you guys need medical. So it brought up a lot of attention, and we thought that, so that was an op that was a cover op.
Yeah.
It was a legitimate op, well, much obviously lower scale than something like this, but I can't wrap my head around it. I can't believe more people aren't talking about it.
My colleague Richard Dolan is a UFO historian. He coined a term years ago, breakaway civilization. And what he meant by breakaway civilization was pondering this idea: is there a faction among the human species who has possession of exceedingly advanced technology that basically allows them to live in a technological world that is, it's like us today compared to people living at the turn of the century in the early 1900s, right? That would be the technological gap we're talking about, like the 100-year gap. And if such a breakaway civilization exists, what are they doing with that technology? And I think that's a plausible thesis. I think there may at this point be such a thing as a breakaway civilization, that there are factions, whether they be transnational corporations or cartels or whatever, or aerospace companies that are in possession of technology that would completely transform human society. But rather than use it to transform human society, rather than use it to solve the hunger problem, rather than use it to solve the energy problem, to lift people out of poverty in the third world, apparently they're using it for nefarious purposes, terrorizing people in the Amazon. And what else are they doing? That's why at the very beginning of this conversation, we were talking about the occult and the mystery schools. And to me, this feels like it's in that vein. Like there's something going on here that is so dark and so dastardly that it would be difficult for normal people to contemplate, to conceive of this kind of a scenario where people would use advanced technology to do these terrible things. But all I can say is that's what happened in the Amazon. Somebody was deploying advanced technology, including aerospace.
Low key, I don't know what the fuck's going on my stream. It's going like this. This is all I see. It's going up, mad viewers, going all the way down to 50, going back up to a lot of viewers, going back down, freezing my phone, freezing the shit over here. I don't know if it's happening to you guys. I hope not. I hope it's all clear. I just want to make that announcement because I am aware of it, and if it's happening, my bad. I don't know what to do. That's never happened before. So I hope you guys enjoy the show, but this is getting fucked up. It's cool at the same time, but my bad.
Technology to terrorize these villagers.
Have you poked holes in their story at all?
Yeah, well, the thing is that there was so many witnesses, so many testimonies, both from San Antonio de Pituyacu, but then also in Nauta and in Iquitos, the city of Iquitos, that it's hard to deny something happened, and there's no reason for me to doubt that they saw what they saw. I mean, they were, and then of course you have Talia. I mean, there's no question that she was diagnosed with. In fact, I was shown the official the letter from the doctor that she has severe PTSD, and I'll tell you that I paid for her to go to Iquitos to see a psychiatrist because she was so psychologically damaged from this incident, and she wasn't faking. They didn't put on a show for me. Now, are they embellishing? Are they exaggerating? Are they recalling things that maybe didn't happen exactly the way that they remember? Probably. I have no doubt that that's the case. But are they just lying? Remember, the villagers were begging the Navy to protect them. Begging the Navy. They weren't begging gringos to come investigate. They weren't begging gringos to come bring them food and technology. They were begging their government to protect them. Mm-hmm. That's what they wanted, protection. They were asking the Navy to station a ship or some assets outside of the village on the river to watch over them until this phenomenon.
Did they get a response from the government?
Yeah, 2 police officers were dispatched from Iquitos to investigate the attempted abduction of Talia. They had a Navy escort up the river. But the Navy was not involved in the investigation, and it's from these 2 police officers, by the way. That's where the Jetpack Miner narrative comes from. Those 2 police officers concocted that narrative. And in defiance of the villagers, by the way, the villagers told them, no, we didn't see that, we didn't experience what you're saying we did, but the police officers, and they did a piss-poor investigation, if you can even call it an investigation. They just showed up and talked to some people and got on their boat and left. We were the only ones who actually went to the village to conduct a more thorough investigation. And we were there for a few days. So remember, I mean, to your question of did I poke holes in the story, if the villagers were asking for international aid or gringos come help us or appealing to people using this story to try and get stuff, that would raise a red flag. But because their initial reaction, their only reaction, was to beg their own government to protect them with the Navy, that is an indication that they're telling the truth. Mm-hmm. Because they're concerned about their well-being. That's the initial response. Protect us. And I've conveyed what they told me. I did not see the phenomenon myself, although we were prepared to capture it. We had our own night vision recording capabilities, and we were, in fact, we were hoping to capture the phenomenon on camera. We did not. And as I said before, it had subsided by the end of August anyway, and we didn't get there till October.
You know, Peru has a long history of believing, or I don't know, in UFOs and extraterrestrial life. I mean, I've watched a ton of documentaries on Machu Picchu because of the precision cuts and stuff that are in those walls. What's your take on all of that?
Peru is, I like to quote Remington, and I don't know if this is an actual quote from Remington, but I've heard that Remington said that Africa was the last best place for hunting, right? For hunting big game animals. That's how I feel about Peru. Peru is the last best place for like making discoveries. Peru it feels wild still, and so much of it is still uncharted. You could say the same thing for the Amazon, for the Brazilian Amazon, but in Peru you have 3 distinct terrains all in one country. You have the Amazon jungle, the Amazon rainforest, which is the largest tropical forest on Earth. And then that runs directly into the Andes Mountains. And the Andes are the second highest mountain range in the world. And then on the other side of the Andes, on the west coast of Peru, you have a inhospitable desert. And this is like the second driest place in the world. All of these extreme environments are in one country. And you can literally be in the Amazon, and then in the same day, you're in this lush jungle environment, and then the next day, or even the same day later on, you're in this hostile desert environment, literally the polar opposite of where you just were. It's really it's a mystifying country. It still has deep connections with its culture. The jungle, the indigenous people in the jungle are still close to their cultural practices and traditions and beliefs. The Quechua people in the Andes and the various indigenous cultures up there sometimes in some areas of Peru they only speak Quechua. They don't even speak Spanish. So it's just there's just so much mystery, discovery waiting to happen in Peru, and it always draws me back. And then in the midst of all of this, you have some of the most remarkable megalithic edifices on the face of the planet. You have, for example, in Cusco, the magnificent megalithic walls of Sacsayhuaman. And some of the most precise masonry, cyclopean masonry you'll find anywhere, Ollantaytambo. And then, of course, the foundations of Machu Picchu are megalithic.
How do you think they did it? Or do you think they did it?
The Inca? The Inca were an extraordinary civilization. They were. The Inca were master road builders. The Inca they built incredible aqueducts. They were advanced. They were an advanced agrarian society. In many ways, they were the Romans of South America. They could build very impressive structures made of stone structures, but I do not believe that they were capable of building Sacsayhuaman. I do not, and they never claimed, by the way, to have built any of the megaliths in Peru. And I have a colleague of mine named Anselm Piurambla. Anselm, I've done a lot of work in Peru with Anselm. He and I discovered a lost city in the Andes that we call Tauripunku. And we don't know if it's Inca or Chachapoyan, we're not sure, but it was before we made the official discovery of this city.
What do you mean you discovered an ancient city?
We were looking for it? We were contacted by someone who lived in a village in the Andes and said, hey, there's some interesting ruins out here that you guys, specifically my colleague Anselm was contacted, and he was told you should come investigate these ruins. They could be very significant. So every time someone says, like me or anyone else, we made this discovery, well, the local populations usually know about the thing, just like with Machu Picchu. Hiram Bingham officially discovered Machu Picchu, but the local populations knew about Machu Picchu. I mean, they knew the ruins were there. In fact, they're the ones who brought him there. He wasn't looking for Machu Picchu. He was looking for, I think, Vilcabamba.
The fuck is Machu Picchu? I feel like I heard that shit before, but I don't know what it is. This guy said it like 5 times already, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is that shit? But Hey, someone tell me.
And in the same way, this discovery we made, the locals, the villagers, were aware that there were ruins up there, so they contacted us, and we went in with a team on an expedition to explore the ruins, and we determined that indeed this is a city. This isn't just a little settlement. There's enough ruins up there that would constitute a city. It's an important city. Now we don't know who built the city. Could be Inca, could be from the Chachapoyas culture. But we did make the official discovery of that location, of that, what we call Taulipunku.
What's it like walking into that?
You know, everything's covered in vegetation. This is in the Andes. So it's not jungle, but it's sort of, it's not cloud forest either. It's kind of an in-between zone. It's very wet. And so you see a lot of ruins that have been consumed by the forest. I mean, you have stone walls that are literally, that have the roots of trees wrapped around them and growing on, full-grown trees growing on top of stone walls. There was no monumental architecture. In other words, there was no megalithic structures at Taulipunku. But there's a lot of stone structures, different configurations of both rectangular and circular edifices. And it's the circular edifices that make us wonder if this is actually a Chachapoyan lost city. It's a lost city. And it's kind of surreal. Like, you feel like you're in a movie when you're walking through there. The problem is, a lot of these lost cities, as I said, are known to the locals. Like, the locals have known about them for generations. But they don't tell anybody. But what this means is that they've been ransacked. So the first thing that happens when a site like this is discovered is people go looking for artifacts to sell. And they go looking for jewelry, bracelets, gold, silver, precious stones. And so the sites get ransacked. Especially if the huaqueros, the grave robbers, catch wind of it, they'll go in and absolutely empty it out indiscriminately. And what that does is it destroys all of the archaeological evidence that you would use to determine who built the place. Now, I'm not an archaeologist. I'm an explorer, researcher, so is Anselm. We did have some different individuals from different backgrounds on our team, but you're always hoping to find artifacts. That's what you're really looking for. You're looking for pottery. You're looking for any kind of artifact that could help you identify the builder. And unfortunately, at Taulipunku, the place had been cleaned out. And we were told that 2 mummies had been discovered there, or a series of mummies. A few mummies had been discovered, and they were dressed in royal regalia. This is what we were told by the locals. They were dressed in royal regalia. They had gold and silver, and that all of that was ransacked and removed. And then what they'll do, the huaqueros, the grave robbers, they'll go in and they'll ransack a lost city or an archaeological site that hasn't officially been discovered yet, and then they cover their tracks by destroying everything. They destroy the bodies. They get rid of all of the skeletal remains. So they absolutely contaminate the scene, so to speak, so that if archaeologists, by the time archaeologists get there, it's already been destroyed. That's a real problem in Peru. That's a real problem.
Were there any markings or?
We found skeletal remains.
Yeah,
we found skeletal remains. There's burials up there, and I was accompanied by my friend Chase Koletsky, who's a certified forensic investigator. And so, we looked at the remains, and there was nothing really remarkable about them, anomalous, except for there were signs of trepanation. I think I'm saying that word right.
What is that?
It's where they make the holes in the skull, where they do surgery on the brain, and they'll cut the skull open, and they do something. Sometimes I think that some of these ancient cultures maybe thought that if you opened up the skull, you could release bad spirits or something like that, or release the thoughts. I'm not sure what they were doing. Nobody really knows why they did it.
Did you get a date on the bones?
No, we didn't. We didn't get a date on the bones. It's going to be Inca or Chachapoyas. It's going to be one of those two cultures. We're convinced of that. It's one of those two cultures. We're not sure which one. It's going to require some archaeologists to follow up and go up there and make that determination.
Anybody done that?
Not to my knowledge. No. We made a film. I published a series of films, including this discovery, but those films are published in my members' community. So we haven't gone public with the find yet because we were actually making a TV show. That's a long story. That's a really long story. It's a crazy story, by the way. We were making a TV show in Peru, and long story short, we ran into the Ica mob. And we had to change gears, and so this TV show was going to be on a big network, and there was a whole saga that unfolded. But we did film it.
Damn, it would have been a good one.
Oh, it would have been a great show. Originally was a treasure hunting show. That was and there was this crazy story that had to do with my friend Anselm. And Anselm is I always refer to Anselm as the most interesting man in the world, Anselm Pirambla. By the way, returning to this topic of megaliths in Cusco, I think I mentioned to you, maybe I didn't mention to you, that we have, me and my partner Gary Haven, the founder of Curves, the fitness franchise from the 90s, early 2000s, we're in possession of state-of-the-art aerial GPR unit, and which means basically we have a GPR unit that we can fly. It's on a drone platform, and it's very high resolution. It can see 300 feet beneath the surface of the Earth. It's got two different antennas. One is a deep penetrating antenna that's used to find structures. The other is
like that LiDAR stuff, huh?
It's GPR. LiDAR is different. We brought LiDAR, by the way, to the up to Tauripunku, but it kept falling out of the sky. For whatever reason, the drones just kept falling out of the sky. We brought a LiDAR team, and it was LiDAR USA, really great guys, really professional guys. But there was something that was affecting the something in the drones, the communication between the drone and the controller, and they just kept falling out of the sky until we lost them all. And we did get limited LiDAR data, which did confirm our suspicion that this was an important settlement. This was a lost city. Anyway, that's different from the aerial GPR unit that me and Gary Haven have, and that GPR unit, you can see the deep penetrating antenna for large structures, and then you can see it under the right conditions, under the perfect conditions, we can see a quarter 15 feet under the ground.
Wow.
And we were using this technology in Peru, doing different things, and this is kind of a long backstory here, so I'm going to try and truncate this as best I can. So when you read the history of Peru, obviously the history of the conquest of Peru begins with Francisco Pizarro. In the 1530s, he landed on the shores actually of Ecuador and then marched south into Peru, into the Inca territory, into their empire, and with 176 thereabouts conquistadors. And on his way, as Pizarro made his way south, he went to Cajamarca. This was his first encounter with the Inca, or at least certainly with Inca royalty in Cajamarca. Cajamarca was an important Inca city, and when Pizarro went to Cajamarca, the Inca knew he was coming. The Sapa Inca, the Inca king, Atahualpa was his name. He knew that Pizarro was coming, and this is going to tie into the Cusco thing here in a minute. And so when Pizarro gets to Cajamarca, the city is vacated. Again, this was an Inca city. And the Spaniards don't know what's going on. Why is this beautiful city vacated? So they take up residence in the plaza, Pizarro and his conquistadors. And what happened was that the king, the Sapa Inca, knew that the Spaniards were coming, and he wanted to meet them. And so he vacated the city, and he had the Spaniards realized that they were surrounded, because in the mountains around the city were thousands of Inca soldiers, and they lit their fires at night. And the Spaniards were so frightened they were peeing their pants. This is recorded in the chronicles, because they thought we're screwed. You know, there's 176 of them, 170 some odd number of them. Nobody knows the exact number, but there's 170 some of them. And they're totally surrounded by thousands of Inca, and the Sapa Inca is with them. And the Sapa Inca, Atahualpa, we'll cut through some of the details here. Ultimately, he makes this grand procession into the city, because he's going to meet these strange men dressed in metal who've come to his land, who've entered, encroaching upon his empire. And he wasn't sure if these were gods, because they thought maybe these are the Viracochas, the gods who were returning, the bearded gods. This is part of the legends of the Inca, right? And he wanted to see, are these gods? Who are these people? And so he makes a grand procession into the city, into Cajamarca, with dancers and music and all the pomp and circumstance of the Sapa Inca. And he enters the courtyard, and the Spaniards obviously saw him coming. And so what they did was they set up their cannons and their gunners and everything around the courtyard. And the Inca had never seen a firearm of any kind. And I'm going somewhere with this. And the Inca, he's marched into the plaza sitting on his litter, being carried to the servants are carrying him on their shoulders, and he's sitting up on his litter. And there were so many Inca, they crammed into this plaza, so they could barely move. And Pizarro sent out his priest, and the priest walks up to the Sapa Inca, the Inca king, with the Bible. And he hands him the Bible. And basically, submit to the Spanish crown and the church in Rome. And Atahualpa takes the Bible, and he doesn't know he's never seen a book before. He looks at it, he throws it on the ground. And this gives Pizarro the pretext to open fire. They open fire, and they're unarmed, by the way. The Inca. There's just a bunch of Inca men crammed into this courtyard, and the Spanish open fire, and the cavalry charge, and they capture Atahualpa. They slaughter all the guys in the courtyard. They capture the Sapa Inca. This is like, they realize later that this is like chess, where if you capture the king, game over. The pieces don't move on the board anymore. This is part of the reason why the Spaniards were able to conquer the Inca with such ease. Part of the reason is because they checkmated the Inca early on at Cajamarca. They captured the king. In the Inca, the mechanism of the empire didn't work without the king, without the Sapa Inca. So they capture Atahualpa. Long story short there, what happens next is what's called the ransom of Atahualpa. And Atahualpa tries to ransom his life by once he realized that the Spaniards wanted gold, he famously boasted to them that he could fill a room with gold, and he put a marking up on the wall. I could fill this room with gold up to here, and these 2 rooms with silver, if you'll trade me for this, as a ransom negotiation. So the conquistadors, Pizarro and the conquistadors agreed to this. That's why they're there, right? They want gold. So Atahualpa he puts the word out, and they start bringing the gold and silver. And he nearly does it. He nearly fills these 3 rooms up with gold and silver. But Pizarro knows that this is the king. This is the most critical piece on the board, right? He's not going to let Atahualpa go free. So he has him executed. And I should say, just as a side note,
my bad. Look, I'm a hard believer in shit. I really am. It don't matter how many times a nigga tells me a story. I never believe him, ever. Especially third-person point of view story. Worse. Just can't believe it. Why? Because it's just not coming from the horse's mouth, as they would say, right? So, like, hard to believe that shit sometimes, but hey, to each his own. It just, for me, I'm like watching this and I'm like how do I know? You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Atahualpa and Pizarro became very good friends. Pizarro wept at his execution, had him convert to Christianity so he could be strangled rather than burned at the stake, had him baptized. And then, this is where I'm connecting back to Cusco, the conquistadors begin their march back to Cusco because they learned that Cusco was the capital and that that's where the real treasures of the Inca was in Cusco. Specifically, the epicenter of the Inca Empire was a temple of Inca culture. The epicenter of the culture of the empire was the temple called Coricancha. That's a Quechuan word, and it means the place of gold. Coricancha was absolutely laden with gold and silver. The walls were covered in plaques of gold. And they had at Coricancha, they had a garden, a life-size garden with life-size depictions of different animals and people and plants, stalks of corn, and all casted in pure gold and silver. Wow. The whole thing. Okay, the Spanish catch wind of this, so they're making a beeline for Cusco to capture the capital city. They already executed the king. Now they're going to get the capital city and all the treasure. Well, the Inca priests, obviously, they know the Spaniards are coming. So what do? In the Coricancha are the most important artifacts of the Inca Empire. This is where
I'm confused. It's like, what? What? How do we go from face peelers to Machu Picchu? Like, we weren't. I guess, yeah, if you look at the topics, he's going. Yo, where is he going next? Modern. Okay. Yeah, I'm curious.
For the great golden sun, this artifact that was cast in the form of a sun. This is where that artifact was, and all kinds of. In fact, in the Coricancha, they had the mummified remains of their previous Sapa Incas, previous Inca emperors. And on the winter solstice, which is a time called celebrated festival called Inti Raymi in Peru, they would parade the corpses of these past Inca kings around as if they were still alive, right? So this was this most sacred place in the Inca Empire. The foundations of this temple are megalithic. They're made of green diorite. But today, if you go to Coricancha, you'll see these exquisite andesite walls that are built in the Cyclopean style. They're Cyclopean, which means there's no mortar between the joints. They're fitted precisely together. I'm not sure if those walls, if the walls inside of the temple were built by the Inca, probably. Okay, but this would represent the finest monumental architecture of the Inca. But that's not the point. The point is that the priests, because the Spaniards were on their way and they knew what the Spaniards wanted now, they wanted the gold and silver artifacts. What did the priests do? They gathered, a couple thousand of the Inca in Cusco, and they began to collect all of the most important artifacts of the Inca, including many of those artifacts made of gold and silver, and they took them down into a tunnel, the entrance of which was beneath the temple of the Coricancha. They took these artifacts down into this tunnel, and this tunnel runs for 1 mile beneath the Coricancha, the temple of the Inca, to the galleries and caverns beneath the megalithic citadel of Sacsayhuaman. And it makes a straight line, right? Because according to legend, beneath Sacsayhuaman, which is that megalithic site I referenced earlier, there's a whole underground complex. And it was very important to the Inca, and this is allegedly, according to legend, this is where all these artifacts went. They went to those chambers beneath that megalithic edifice. So the Spaniards arrive, they siege the city of Cusco, they overthrow the Inca, they take possession of the city. But the priests keep the secret. The Spaniards never learn about the tunnel.
Kidding.
They never learn about the tunnel. So much of the gold and silver, and certainly the most important religious artifacts, go into the tunnel and make their way down to the galleries under that megalithic wall. The Spaniards never learn about it. They hear rumors of it, but it's only rumors. And over the years, this has become a legend, a myth. So if you go to Cusco today and you ask an archaeologist or an anthropologist or a historian about, it's called the Shinkana, by the way, the Shinkana Grande specifically. If you ask them about the Shinkana is that tunnel, they'll say, oh, that's just a legend. That's just a myth. Now, they'll admit that there's gold and silver artifacts of the life size. They'll show you that today, where it was at the Coricancha, that these life-size figurines were cast in gold and silver. That's all historical record. But they'll tell you that the tunnel's a myth. Doesn't exist.
And nobody's found it.
Nobody's found it until we found it.
Get the fuck out of here. You found it?
We found it. And we found it, and me and Gary and Anselm P. Ramla together. Now, Anselm, I'm going to try and not digress too far into this, but Anselm has had the opportunity to do some unprecedented excavations in the city, in Cusco. Anselm excavated at Sacsayhuaman. He excavated in front of the walls of Sacsayhuaman. And later on, miraculously, he obtained permission to excavate in the Coricancha. Unprecedented, okay? When he was excavating at Sacsayhuaman, he discovered at the lowest levels of that edifice only, exclusively, pre-Incan artifacts.
Wow.
No Inca artifacts were present at the lower levels. What does that indicate? The Inca didn't build those walls.
Wow.
Only pre-Inca artifacts. And he had all of the proof. I've seen the artifacts, pictures of the artifacts. And I've been to Sacsayhuaman with Anselm. He walked me through the site and showed me where he excavated, and all of this is very well known. He was interviewed on Peruvian TV up in Cusco when they were doing their excavations. And I forget when this was. I want to say it was back in the 90s, I think. I don't recall. But while Anselm was excavating at the walls of Sacsayhuaman, he heard about the rumor of the Shinkana. And he decided that he was going to take a couple of guys from his team, and they were going to go down to the Coricancha to investigate this legend. Now understand that the Coricancha it's there still today. You can go visit it in Cusco. And you still have the foundational level of the Coricancha. It's still there. You still have the ruins. But there's a Catholic church, Santo Domingo, that's built on top of it. There's a cathedral there. And there's a convent, the Cathedral and Convent of Santo Domingo. And it's owned, basically, it's overseen by the Dominican order. And this is all very interesting because the new Pope is not a Dominican who spent much of his time in Peru. So the Dominican order has been occupying the Coricancha for centuries. The conquistadors gave it to the Dominican order. And so Anselm goes down to see if he can find out about this legend. And he meets with the prior of the order there, the head priest. And the prior receives him, and they sit down in his office, and Anselm says, I'm over here excavating at Sacsayhuaman, and I've heard about this legend of the Shinkana, and I'm just curious if it's true. And the priest thinks about it for a minute, and he looks at Anselm and he says, yes, the legend is true. And then he says, would you like to see it? And Anselm was kind of in shock, like, yeah, of course. So the priest accompanies Anselm and a couple of his guys into the cathedral. They help him push an altar out of the way that's sitting there on the cathedral floor. And there's a trap door under this altar. They open the trap door. They descend down these stairs into a crypt, a colonial crypt. And as they're in the crypt, they notice that there's an opening that's been partially blocked off with bricks. And Anselm walked up to the opening, and he asked the priest, what's this? And the priest said, that's the Shinkana. And Anselm took his flashlight, flashed in there, and he saw the tunnel. And he said that the tunnel was lined with the same exquisite masonry as the
As above.
as the temple above. And these are trapezoidal. You know, the doors, the Inca doors are trapezoidal, and the tunnel is trapezoidal. And it just went on endlessly. There was the Shinkana. So Anselm said, "This is great. The legend is true. I've got my team excavating at Sacsayhuaman. Let me go get them and bring them here, and we'll take these bricks down, and we'll go in, and we'll make this discovery and film it and everything." And suddenly the priest, his disposition changes on a dime, and he says, "No! I should have never brought you here. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to see this. Get out!" And he kicks them out of the church, out of the crypt and out of the cathedral. He just flips on a dime. Okay, so now Anselm knows that the legend is true. He's seen the tunnel with his own eyes. He knows that the most important artifacts of the Inca Empire, and who knows what else, is hidden under that in the galleries beneath that ancient megalithic edifice. So ultimately, he gets permission, and I'm not going to go through how, but miraculously gets permission to excavate at the Cori Concha. What's his objective? Well, he's got a public objective, which is whatever, but privately his objective is to get into the Shinkana, right? Brings his team, this is years later, like I believe the early 2000s, I'm probably wrong on the dates. He brings his team to Peru, and he's got an international team. He's got GPR, he's got all kinds of equipment. They're ready to make this discovery because he knows it's there, he's seen it. They arrive on the scene after miraculously getting permission to excavate. He goes into the cathedral, somebody changed the floor. The tiles, the floor's been retiled. Okay? He takes his GPR unit, goes to where he knows the crypt is, can't find the crypt. Long story short, it appears that somebody filled it in with debris, or that it naturally, maybe an earthquake and whatever, but the crypt is now inaccessible. So now he's got to try and find a different way in, right? Because the crypt is closed. So he spends, I forget how many months, on this excavation. They actually discover the foundations of the temple. That's how I know that the foundations of the temple are megalithic green diorite, as are the megalithic foundations of Cusco in general. Definitely predates the Inca. The foundations, megalithic green diorite. And long story short, he gets kicked out of the church. They have to. And this was, the president of Peru visited him when he was doing this. The Queen of Spain came and visited the excavation. This was a big deal in Peru. And ultimately, Anselm got kicked out. Could not get into the Shinkana. Very frustrated, right? That was the goal. Well, fast forward now, years later. I'm with Anselm in Cusco. We have our GPR unit. Well, Anselm knows where the tunnel is. He knows, he saw it, right? He knows where it goes. So we surreptitiously, we took our unit, put it in a duffel bag, and we walked the perimeter of the church. And we then took the data, put it into the computer, and guess what showed up?
No way.
The Shinkana. And you can see the trapezoidal form of it. The Shinkana, right where Anselm said it was. The tunnel's there. Then Anselm, later on, he acquired another unit, an additional unit to the one that we had, and he went back with his team, and he did the same thing. He walked the perimeter and verified the original discovery of the GPR data, and he even got a clearer scan because he took more time, and he got a really good 3D image of the Shinkana. It's there. And then he did a press conference last year in Barcelona where he revealed the data, right? Then, I don't know if you saw this, but last year, this was international news. It was announced after Anselm did his conference in Barcelona. It was announced that archaeologists in Cusco have discovered tunnels beneath the city. Legendary tunnels beneath the city. They stole his data. We know for sure they did. They stole the GPR data. They claimed to be the discoverers when it was really Anselm. And they were trying to get a project to excavate. But long story short, I'm not sure how much of this I'm allowed to say, but let's just say that there's a really good chance Anselm P. Rommel will be breaking into the Shinkana soon.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So,
Are you going to be there for that?
yes.
Awesome.
So,
Can I come?
very possibly, yes. So this could be one of the biggest discoveries in Peru since Machu Picchu.
When is this happening? Do you know?
He's working on the permitting. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to share, but let's just say that Anselm has everything in the works behind the scenes. I didn't even know this. I met with his son in Lima. He has no idea that I'm sharing this, but the Shinkana is real. So the question is, what's down there? What's down there? What artifacts are sequestered away beneath the walls of Sacsayhuaman? Well, I think maybe a clue regarding the identity of the builders of the megaliths in Peru. That may be one thing that's down there. Who knows? I mean, all of the most important artifacts of the Inca are there, and it's real. It's not a legend. This story is true. And I'll give you one more detail. Anselm, while he was excavating in the church, he was working with a prior, a Dominican named Father Gamara, who I met later on with Anselm. Father Gamara was very friendly to Anselm and his team. Gamara told Anselm that the existence of the Shinkana has been known to the Dominican order and has been a secret kept by the priors of the church. I don't know if that's how we say it in Spanish. I don't really know how to say it in English. I hope I'm using the right terminology. By the head, a clergyman at the Cathedral of Santo Domingo in Cusco. That secret has been kept and handed down from prior to prior, okay? And so he affirmed to Anselm that the legend is true. In fact, furthermore, he said, I want to show you something. He took Anselm into a back room and he showed him an artifact. It was a crown that was cast in pure gold. And it was sitting on a statue of Mary. And they called it the crown of the mother, of the Virgin and the child. That's what they named this relic, the crown of the Virgin and the child. But then he told Anselm the story of where the gold came from. And the story goes something like this. Years ago, I believe it was back in the early 20th century, there were a couple of young people who somehow they made their way down into the galleries beneath Sacsayhuaman, because there are other entrances besides the Shinkana Grande. Because some of these caverns are natural, right? So there's other ways to get down in there if you can find them. And these two young people, these two, I think they were teenagers or young men, they made their way down into the galleries beneath Sacsayhuaman, and ultimately they got lost down there. By the way, the word Shinkana means labyrinth, but it also means the place where one gets lost. So we call it labyrinth because that's sort of what it defines. But in Quechua, it also means the place where one gets lost. And the legend, the Quechua believe that it's cursed, that you go down there, you're going to go crazy, or you're going to die. And in fact, of these two young guys that went down there, one of them perished in the labyrinth. The other one made it out. And this is what Gamara told Anselm. The other one made it out because one day, back in that era, probably, I don't know, back in the, as I said, early 20th century, one night the priests heard somebody knocking. There was a knocking coming from somewhere in the cathedral. They didn't know where it was, and so they were looking around, what's this knocking? Ultimately, they realized that the knocking was coming from the floor of the cathedral, from the trap door. So they open up the trap door, and here's this young man. And he's starving, he's dehydrated, and he's in a state of disorientation. They pull him out, so he came up through the crypt. Obviously, he made his way into the Shinkana Grande, walked the mile through the tunnel, and is popping up through the crypt. They pull him out, and they start trying to help him recover, giving him water and food, and they're asking him, how did you get down there? And he told them the story. But he didn't just come out empty-handed. He had something in his hand when they pulled him out of the crypt. He had a what do you call a corn stalk, the top, an ear of corn. He had an ear of corn in his hand cast in solid gold.
Wow. Wow.
And he told them that there was a great treasure under Sacsayhuaman. That there was a great treasure hidden under there, and that this was just one piece that he grabbed and held on to as he made his way through the labyrinth. His companion had died in the labyrinth. He emerged with a golden ear of corn from that was once part of that garden that I told you about at Coricancha, that life-size garden with everything was cast in pure gold and silver. And he gave the corn to the priests, and then he died. He'd gone mad. Like he lost his mind down there, and he was probably too dehydrated. And
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You're right. They killed that motherfucker real quick, took the corn, and said he died. That's it. That's the story. That's what we're going with. We're not going with he went mad and he went crazy. Nope. He got murdered, and they took the corn.
Starved. He died. They took the corn, they recast it, and made this Catholic relic, the crown of the Virgin and the Child. So we know that there's artifacts, or at least were artifacts, under the megalithic wall of Sacsayhuaman.
Wow.
So we that was a long story, but I think it's pretty entertaining. It's because this is part of the history of Peru, right? And we detected the tunnel. Anselm detected the tunnel. It's there. He saw with his own eyes. We confirmed that tunnel exists. And I believe that Anselm Pirambla is destined to open that thing up. You get down in there.
Man, I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of the most remarkable archaeological discoveries in the history of Peru.
Wow.
And again, I want to reiterate, I believe that the identity of the megalith builders, that there are clues, indications of who they were in the galleries beneath Sacsayhuaman, because Sacsayhuaman was strategically placed where it is, because there's a complex beneath it. And this is often the case with megaliths. This is often the case. There's something below. It's not just what you see on the surface. There's something below, and oftentimes I think that's where the real interesting and important artifacts reside, beneath these edifices.
That is fascinating. And congratulations on being a part of that. That's
I'm just going along for the ride.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and we filmed a lot of that. We didn't get into the tunnel, but it's there.
But you will.
It's there. And you know what I just told you? Nobody knows. Nobody knows that.
Wow.
That's
fascinating.
That is something that most people are going to learn for the first time here on your show, because nobody knows. I mean, I have my members community and stuff where I talk about this stuff, but it's never gotten this kind of exposure.
Man.
And I think it will be, as I keep saying, the greatest discovery in Peru since Machu Picchu.
That's incredible. I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah,
is that going to happen soon, do you think?
It should, yeah. I don't want to get into all the details, because Anselm never really gave me permission to disclose the fact that he's elaborating this project right now. But yes, the project is officially, the preliminary stages of that project are officially underway. And this is Anselm's life's work. This is his the greatest objective of his life is to get into that tunnel.
Wow.
And he wants to bring me with him. So, and he and I have done a lot together, and it would be an honor to be part of that.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, I can only imagine what's under there.
Me too.
So to reiterate, no, the
That's
Inca did not build the walls of Sacsayhuaman. Anselm Pirambla has proof that they did not build the walls of Sacsayhuaman. Those walls were there. The Inca discovered them.
Man,
and I believe the same can be said of Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu, I've been there like 5 times. Machu Picchu is magnificent. It really, when I lived in Peru, never wanted to go because I don't like touristy areas. I stay away from those. My God, Machu Picchu is breathtaking. It's definitely worth it. It is. Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
It is absolutely
I haven't been there.
Breathtaking, and the foundations of Machu Picchu are megalithic, built in the Cyclopean style. And I believe that the Inca, the Inca styled themselves as the sons and daughters of the sun. Right? They were the inheritors of the gods. They were the progeny of the gods. and what belonged to the gods belonged to them. And so I believe that when the Inca came to Cusco and they saw the remnants, these megalithic remnants of this once mighty civilization that I think was pre-flood and was destroyed in the cataclysm, they said, the gods lived here. So this is our heritage. We're going to rebuild. We're going to rebuild on the foundations of the habitation of the gods. In fact, Machu Picchu, the Quechua name for Machu Picchu, it's not Machu Picchu, it's Ijampu. What does Ijampu mean? The abode of the gods. The habitation of the gods. So I think that that name conveys exactly what the Inca thought when they arrived. Look at these magnificent megalithic constructions. Because in Machu Picchu there's some really amazing megaliths, and they thought surely the gods lived here, right? Wait a minute, we are the progeny of the gods. This is our heritage, and then they rebuilt.
Wow.
And I think that's the way it is in a lot of places around the earth. We always rebuild on the foundations of our antecedents. This takes us all the way back to the beginning of our conversation about the antediluvian world and the cataclysm and all of that. But so we completed the circle.
Perfect. Well, Tim, I can't wait to hear about this. So let's keep in touch. And I just want to thank you for a fascinating conversation on all the different topics and rabbit holes we went down, and hope to see you back here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Anytime.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3 hours. 3 hours. 3 fucking hours. Wow. I'm tired. I am tired. Face peelers. That's all I gotta say. That's crazy. That's some crazy shit. So Peru obviously is a place that we all gotta go ASAP. As soon as fucking possible. I'm curious to what the fuck Machu Picchu is now that I learned a little more about it. That's kinda interesting. What's more interesting is that there's tunnels and other things. I was hoping that we got into like America and like other tunnels that I know we have, even just in our own country. Seems like we don't really want to talk about our country too much because there's always repercussions with that type of shit. So I'm not gonna be the one to start, but yeah, that was interesting. I liked it. Hope you guys did too. 52 of y'all stayed. I appreciate y'all for watching this shit with me, getting weird with me, and seeing what was good with this whole underground city and face peelers. Now, my only question for you guys, is it humans or is it aliens? I wouldn't know. I'm 50-50 right now on if it's a human. I'm almost thinking it's probably a human, only because when he said in a part of the story, he said that the guys talked in both Spanish and English. So unless it's a alien that decided to come with our language or speak in our language in some way, kind of weird, especially to each other. It's not like they were talking to the girl that they were capturing, right? So for them to be speaking to each other in English and Spanish, it's a little weird. They could just speak their own language, right? I'm sure aliens have their own language in a lot of ways. So why speak in common human language, right? Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't know. I haven't met a lot of aliens in this lifetime yet, so I couldn't really tell you. What I can tell you is it was a good stream. I'm going to be back tomorrow. We're going to knock out some more stuff. I want to build in front of you guys a little bit. ChatGPT has Codex. I don't know if you guys tried Codex. I tried a little bit of it yesterday. I do like it. Not going to lie. It does a lot. So if you guys haven't seen it, I'll definitely show you guys how that shit works. How it can build certain things. So I can go over your current code and do just stuff that you already have in your GitHub repositories. Me, I have a lot of shit. So it's interesting to put like stuff of what's in there and see what it did. I gave it some tasks. It was able to go through the code and tell me what it can do, what it couldn't do. So it was very impressive. I'm not gonna lie. And I know how OpenAI works on their stuff. They tend to release their stuff to early users first, and then pro users, and then it goes to the public. So based on what I'm seeing as an early user, I mean, it's pretty good. So by the time it gets to the public, should be a good tool. It definitely should compete with the AI developers that are already out there, like Claude, Bolts, etc. Right? So Cursor, obviously, I can't forget Cursor, but yeah, all those AI developers, I do see Codex, getting into their own lane of the AI developer world. So as that goes, I'm gonna be showing you what's good. I'm gonna build in front of you guys. Um, you know, as always, I'm working on Harmony and Self OS. If you have not signed up for those two, go to talktoharmony.com, go to useselfos.com, sign up for both, become a node, become a user of Harmony. Let me know what you think. If you hate it, you hate it. Let me know. I'll fix it. I'll make it better. If you love it, I love you. And that's just how it rocks, man. Like, we're gonna just keep building. We're gonna keep doing shit in the public. I heard a good term today, and I think a lot of you should even pay attention to this term, right? So we always talk about unicorns, right? Unicorn companies, people becoming this company that everybody invests in eventually because they just blew up from being a startup. But something else I heard of a new term which is called elephants. And elephants is interesting, right? You know what an elephant is? An elephant is basically a unicorn, but it's kind of like a publicly created company built in front of everybody, one that actually is benefiting the community in a certain type of way, and it's also helping people learn as it goes. So I think that's exactly what we're doing. We might be that elephant in the room at one point. We really might. Not only building this, for the community, but I am building this right in front of you guys. I am sharing my screen as I'm doing certain things, and I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty of the code at some point. So you guys will see my process on how I go on Cursor and just start vibe coding. We'll put on some music, we'll knock out some code together, and I'll show you guys how to code your own programs. Like, I'm not stingy with the knowledge. I love to share. So as long as the knowledge is going to the right places and you guys actually utilizing it, I have no problem sharing it. I have people call up my phone all the time trying to just pick my brain over different shit. And I honestly rather do that shit on stream. I really do. So those same people that are used to calling me and think they're gonna keep calling me, best believe I'm gonna stay on D&D, and you need to come on this stream and learn it like everybody else. Why? Because it's just fair. Yes, you could pay for consultations. Yeah, that's cool. But I like the more public, teaching that I can give people in real time. It's cool to do that, especially in events like NFT NYC. It's going to be very cool to be around other developers and see what they're building, see how I can help them. Appreciate Mod for sharing the links. But yeah, like, I can definitely show you guys how that all works and show you guys how things are built. I'm very curious on what people are doing. There's a lot of hackathons out there right now. As you guys know, we have Harmony and Self OS. We're using that in the Bolt.new hackathon. That's $1 million prize right there. So we are going to be going hard on that. I have 8 other projects that I built. So I'm going to be adding all those projects up there too. Those are all built on Bolt, just vibe coding and just chilling and, putting code and stuff together. So yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So, in the meantime, everybody keep chilling. Everybody keep doing your thing. I'll be back tomorrow with more shit, more word, probably another podcast or two. I'm gonna look up some stuff. I do have one in mind. This one's actually a little more weird than the last one because it goes into like a little sensitive stuff that I think we're even touching right now when it comes to wartime, right? So I do want to go into that because it is important for us to understand what's going on in the public eye, even behind the scenes, right? So we're gonna all learn together. I did watch this podcast, Disclaimer. I did watch it about 2 years ago. I could honestly tell you I remember maybe 40% of it. So I will be rewatching it probably and almost watching it for the first time again, just like you guys, if you haven't seen it already. So it will be interesting to watch. I will break it up like the last podcast. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing all in one shot. So I'll go over Harmony a little bit, go over Self OS, and then I'll go into the podcast. We'll chill out a little bit. I do want to start gaming too, so maybe tomorrow we'll game because I saw a game called Inside. It's kind of like I forgot what the other game's called. But it's it's like that game if I can remember the other one. But it's pretty cool. I like these type of games. If you know what Inside is, then I think you know what game I'm trying to play. But I do want to play that game because that does look pretty fun. And there's some horror games that I seen came out recently, so I want to start doing that as well because I haven't really gamed a lot, and I just miss, the PS5. I miss playing on Steam, so we're gonna do that shit. Get scared a little bit, have some fun, and then the IRL is gonna be popping. Like I said, there's gonna be a lot of events. I mean, there's at least 50 events for the whole week. I'm not gonna be able to do all of them because your boy needs sleep, obviously. But I'm gonna do a lot. I'm gonna do a lot of them. Make sure that they're all on stream, and there you guys can see behind the scenes of all of it. So, in the meantime, everybody have a good night. I'll be back.